Here on Kiwi, it's 8:13.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Issues of the day under T-Radar.
Talking issues, it is T-Radar, of course. Morning, T-Radar.
Morning. It was a feisty little bit of music, wasn't it? If you weren't awake before then, you're awake now.
It was like a drill into your brain.
Right into your brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Into your cerebral cortex or whatever it's called.
It's enough to make you want to get into issues of the day.
Issues, so many issues. It's just nothing but hysteria this week. It's just, summer's disappearing, winter's coming, people are becoming hysterical.
According to the Prime Minister, everyone's hysterical.
Well, apparently hysterical over mining.
The big bad mining companies, they want to get into our dock estates.
That's right.
And the government's going to let them, T-Radar.
Dig some large holes, extract some minerals, make a fortune, pay us a pittance. That's the theory from the hysterics, apparently. It was what I saw looking at mining around Thames and various places like that. High-value conservation land, they say, which really is just land that's sitting there with trees on it.
Yeah.
Plenty of room underneath that,
A few animals.
A few animals running around, a few birds.
Frogs.
Geckos. Some skinks.
Snails.
Oh, yes, snails. They've stopped mining
They're
in the
a problem.
past. Yes, so, and apparently people are not happy about this.
Can't we send them eviction notices or something?
Who's that, the miners?
The animals.
Well, look, I'm sure we could shuffle them along, put in some kind of ultrasonic sound thing that shoos them all away to a safe location before the machines move in, crushing things under their tracked, wheels that you see in the movies.
Oh, just like an Avatar.
Just like an Avatar, little animals fleeing from in front of their metallic carry-on.
So
Could be a little bit like Avatar, really.
We're going to have our own Avatar situation, or Pocahontas, or Dance with the Wolves, whatever you want to call it, right here in New Zealand.
That's right. Well, the Coromandel, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few Avatar clones living up there,
We wouldn't know, would we?
Dreadlocks, forest dwellers, slightly blue skin.
All those trees, we can't see them. We may as well clear the trees and then we can see what's in there.
Get rid of the bloody trees. Because, of course, the thing is there, it's a double bite at the commercial cherry. Not only do you get to harvest the minerals, you get to sell the wood as well for the trees above the hole. Everyone's a winner, apart from anyone who likes the bush.
Of course, we don't need any of this stuff because it's just sitting there, right? So we're going to send it all overseas, yeah?
Well,
Get rid of it.
I think there was a thing. Some people are saying, with all of the money in the super fund, we could use that to invest in processing factories, process the minerals, make a fortune.
Great. But ultimately we're exporting, so we're sending them overseas. So we're taking pieces of New Zealand, shifting it off.
Well, we do that anyway. If you haven't been to any of the ports recently and seen all those logs that are loaded on, there you go. All that's happened to them is they've been grown, cut down, straight to the ship, gone, processed overseas.
Gone. Just like the coal. The coal, I suppose, is exactly the same.
Well, exactly the same, yes. Difficult to sort of do much with the coal, I suppose, other than turn it into briquettes.
Briquettes? What do you mean?
Coal briquette. Well,
briquette? What do you put on the fire?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty good. They're pretty efficient.
Put on the fire.
Pretty efficient, those things.
It is. Yes. More hysteria as well, old people. Nothing as hysterical as an old person. The Super Gold card. There was a bit of a kerfuffle, bit of a rumour that it may be disappearing. Of course, the old folk, they like their Super Gold card. Free rides on public transport.
Yeah.
Worst rort of all, though, the Waiheke Fury. There's old folk on there, and good for them, taking a day over to Waiheke. But the only winner in that, other than the old people, who rightly deserve a nice trip over the sea, the ferry company. I'm sure they're charging a fairly full price for that, and the government's essentially paying them for it. I can't see that, given that they're making quite a lot of money from it, they couldn't negotiate some kind of deal, a bit of a reduced fare, continue it on, everyone's happy.
But the prize is that what's been quoted by the government is millions of dollars being spent on old people on that ferry. So they say to me that if I go down to the ferry there today, that it's just going to be jam-packed with retirement villages.
That is apparently the case. I know plenty of old people who are always sort of revelling in the fact that they're off to Waiheke on the ferry.
What do they do when they get there?
Oh, I suppose they have a cup of tea and they come home again.
Yeah? Go
to a winery and have lunch, ride the bus, also for free. I don't know.
I suppose they all come with the winery. I mean, they're all on this party ferry on the way back, no doubt.
No doubt. I tell you what, that'd be a good ferry to ride back on in the afternoon. The last free ferry back for the old folk of the day. That'd be a bloody hoo-ha on that one, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Can you imagine them? Like teenagers, all drunk and disorderly and, meeting folk.
Well, why can't we just let them do this?
Well, apparently it's costing money. times are tight.
Oh, okay, right.
Not so tight that Wellington City Council can't, afford to buy a $350,000 statue of two men in a line out, throwing a ball at each other.
What's this for?
Look, this is the World Cup. Money, hemorrhaging. Taxpayer, ratepayer money hemorrhaging out of the wound that is the Rugby World Cup. Latest wrought, we're at a workshop building a sculpture. They've just unveiled the little mini model of the sculpture. It's a couple of men in a line out to celebrate the Rugby World Cup, and they thought, what a great thing for Wellington City Council to buy, just a mere $350,000. They can plonk it down there on the waterfront to remind people that the World Cup is on.
Does it do something? Does it move? Does it light up? Does it?
Well, if only it did. If
well,
it was some form of a kinetic sculpture.
Yeah.
Perhaps a line-out sculpture crossed with a bit of a Len-Lai thing, so that the wind, which they have a lot of in Wellington, move it, and they would actually move. That would be worth $350,000.
I could buy into that.
As it is, it's just a fairly bog standard, from what I can see in the picture of the newspaper, couple of guys in a line-out.
So that's statue hysteria, now onto cafe table hysteria.
Oh, look, it's just been the week of the hysterical expose by the country's newspapers. If it wasn't enough for the Sunday Star Times to expose the lax security at, a rugby stadium in Hamilton during an NPC game where some person who purports to be a journalist takes a fake bomb and has rugby players sign the bag that it contains, for God's sake, come on.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Isn't pretty ridiculous? But then again, this is the same newspaper that the same weekend published a full two-page article on Lisa Lewis as clearly a woman who needs more promotion, beginning with a rather smutty description of the fact that she'd been at her third shall we say, function of the evening, entertaining gentlemen. The price she charges for her services, how she's going to, if I read another Lisa Lewis article, I suspect it's going to be too soon. I couldn't see any real point in it, other than it's just a bit tabloidy. But then today, thinking, it's Tuesday, there won't be too much tabloidy on Tuesday. The Herald has come out with an expose on whether or not you can sit at cafe street tables for free, or whether or not you'll be moved on. Because someone had a bit of a conniption about it.
Right.
What does the law state? The cafes pay, a small amount of money to have their seats on the footpath, and because the footpath is technically a public space, are the public allowed to sit on their tables and eat their own lunch?
That's on top of the expose on grocery goods are more expensive at service stations.
Oh, it was last week's one, wasn't it? Yes. Yes, so, and apparently some cafes do move them on and some people don't. Good to know.
So that's all the hysteria in New Zealand. Finally, let's have some hysteria overseas.
Oh, look, and this is a good one. War of the Worlds, what was that, in the late 30s, 1930s? Yeah, scared people. It was a radio broadcast. People thought aliens were landing because the drama was so real. Turns out we still haven't really learnt from this. Georgia, recently their television over there had a bit of a program on, and suggested that the Russians were invading.
Which is highly believable.
Well, they did. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So thousands of viewers believe that history was repeating itself. They aired this all during prime time. And it was essentially, I guess, a film about Russia taking advantage of internal chaos in Georgia and launching an invasion, and people obviously became panicked. Mobile phone networks crashed, cinemas emptied, frantic parents called their children, local services said there was a number of people suffering heart attacks. It was all going on.
Too many people watching TV.
TV too real.
Yeah.
Apparently they did have a little bit at the beginning of the program. They said, look, this is just a recreation or a simulation, but they didn't have it through the show. So obviously there'll be apologies all around there, and a lot of people thinking, well, look, it could happen. We better restock our firearms cabinet.
You've got to wonder how that could be seen as entertainment, though, Because, that is it's such a real threat, something that really going to happen. Why do you want to spend your entertainment time watching that kind of thing on telly when it's probably going to happen next week anyway?
Well, maybe it's preparing people for the worst. Maybe National could think about that. Maybe we could run a concept where a draconian council that answers to nobody, nominated simply by the government, takes over the control of Auckland City.
That's a great plot.
That actually is happening.
Oh, of course.
Yes. So never mind.
A reality show on mining.
A reality show on mining. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there are plenty of those. I'm a big fan of those logging ones. extreme logging programs,
Yeah.
and you watch them with a mixture of fascination and horror,
Yeah.
and that you're fascinated by the place these men go to log. Last week I watched one northern Alberta, midwinter, minus 30 degrees, logging trees, and at the same time you're thinking, I'm watching a program about men clear felling an area of bush. Is this not, morally dubious?
So good, we're settled. So I'd be totally into mining of the conservation estate if we can get a reality TV show out of it.
Absolutely. Look at it all be going on. And you could run sightseeing tours if it was in the Coromandel, boats from Auckland, sightseeing tours, free rides over there for the elderly with their Super Gold card. It all ties up into a nice, neat package.
Perfect. Thanks, T Radar.
All right.
See ya.
Good.